This is MJ. I'm an author, I'm an artist, I'm an analyzer. I welcome you to Going Ultra. I'm talking about Ultraman Omega Episode 3, which is something about a cold front and has a penguin guy in it. Overall, I thought the episode was good. I talked about it briefly in my short review that there were certain things that I didn't like that I'm going to expound upon those. But I'm also going to, before I get to the negative, start with the positive and say that I liked the kaiju design. I thought it was pretty neat. I like too that they brought up that there was this defunct scientific idea that the closer something got to freezing, or I don't know, they didn't say absolute zero, but the closer something, the colder something got, the less its like internal atomic magnetism would wear or diminish on it, and then it could become like anti-gravitational. And the idea of something becoming anti-gravitational by being very cold, and that being like an abandoned defunct scientific idea, is really cool and really fun. Like, they don't need to explain why kaiju fly, but having this guy be a weird penguin kaiju and he's like chilling his feet or whatever so that he can fly is just like weird and quirky enough and fun enough that it made it an enjoyable little thing for them to do. I like Ayumu interviewing Sorato and trying to figure out more about him and more about his experience with kaiju, or his understanding of kaiju, especially because well, she learns that he has amnesia. But before she learns that, she's saying, you know, like, how do you know about kaiju? And she's asking like real questions, questions that I was asking in episode 2 when she was introduced to him, and she heard the lie basically that he's a kaiju researcher. And she's like, you know, how are you being a kaiju researcher when we don't know anything about them? They're new, and they have to fumble to come up with a solution to her question, or to get her off their backs basically. And I thought that was interesting. You know, Sorato still doesn't quite get how to lie, which is good. He's, earnest, honest. He doesn't quite know how to handle the situation, and Kosei is trying his best to make it so that he is keeping Sorato safe and, keeping them out of trouble, basically. And it's funny because it results in some comedic moments where, when she finds out that Sorato has amnesia, she says, like, didn't you report him to the police? Like, are you being responsible? Are you actually going to be able to take care of this guy like he needs to be taken care of? And that was a kind of a sweet moment. And also a realistic one. If your cousin all of a sudden had amnesia and you didn't do a police report or take him to the hospital to have him checked out or whatever, that would be bad on you. So don't do that, guys. What else was good? I liked getting the insight into Kosei's backstory, that he was a track star and he thought he could make it to the Olympics, and when he realized he couldn't, then he decided to pivot far away from being a track star and being an athlete and go into this job with the warehouse, which I'm still a little like, he's a delivery guy, I think is what it is that he's doing, and he's doing that until he finds out what he's about or what he's interested in. He seems pretty young to me, maybe 19, 20. That's what he feels like to me. I'm wondering and I'm hoping that we will get to see him kind of figure out who he wants to be. I wonder, though, if this bond with Rekiness, that's the name of the blue kaiju, if that's going to become like a struggle for him to overcome. I'm thinking of Yusuke from Persona 4 now, that like him having this power now is going to make him feel like that's his purpose. And if he loses that, or if that power is threatened somehow, like, what will that do to him as a character, and what will that do to him as a character, and what kind of conflict could that make between him and Sorato? I saw in the preview for next episode, spoiler warning if you don't want to know, that there's a mention about their friendship being like on the outs, or there's something that happens between them. And I think, first of all, it's a little too fast. But second of all, I don't know how that's going to manifest within the episode. So in the context of the episode, it might be fine. But for me, it doesn't seem like the right time. But anyway, that's kind of fueling my idea that maybe there's some issue with that. That having Rekiness could like alter his perception of himself and his purpose of what he's doing. And I think that could be really interesting to see play out. I need to think some more about the episode, and I'll continue to say what I have to say because it was an interesting episode for me, because there were things about it that I didn't like, but there were still things that I did like, and I've covered most of them already, so we might be switching in the negative in just a moment. Well, I guess I'm moving on to the positive now. I think. I don't know anymore. No, I'm moving on to the negative. So, before I do that, I wanted to mention that I really did like that Sorato has included Ayumu into the friend group. That he says, "Hey, we're friends," because she says thanks to him in a very formal way, because he saved her when the wind blew her away. The ice cold freezing wind, I guess, blew her away, and it blew away Kosei as well. And in order to kind of keep his identity as Omega hidden from her, Sorato saved her and had her run off. And he said, "Oh, I gotta go save Kosei." And she said, "How? I don't know, but I'll do it somehow." And then he goes to try to help. Well, he does protect him. He goes over to him and stands in front of him, because the kaiju definitely looks like it wants the Rekiness stone, the Rekiness egg, whatever it is. He wants the mini kaiju for some reason, and which we don't get an explanation for, actually. I think it's possible that Rekiness's presence kind of summoned or called the kaiju to it. Pegalos, whatever. Penguinos. I don't remember his name. Mr. Penguin. But anyway, it seems like he was attracted to Rekiness's presence, and he wanted him, and I don't know exactly what to make of that. That might tie into the overall lore and my theory that the kaiju that are there that are awakening are actually from Omega, that he had them somehow within himself. Maybe he can store them in his ultra body, and yeah, anyway, that's just my theory that I don't need to go into much more. But what else? I was going to say something about I liked this theme that came up of like what you should do and what you want to do. And Omega, I guess because he has amnesia, he doesn't really know what he wants to do except for eat, and he doesn't have too much of a sense of, well, he's kind of like a natural sense of what he should do, and he aims to do the right thing, and he feels more confident in that, because in his conversation in hearing the conversation between Ayumu and Kosei, he's hearing these thoughts brought up about what to do with himself, sort of, and like what one should do with themselves, and kind of the philosophical underpinnings behind all that. And it's interesting to hear him like developing a moral and philosophical sense for what he should do, as opposed to just doing things in a reactionary way. And that reminds me of at the beginning of the episode, Kosei told him, those who do not work do not eat. And it's because Kosei was kind of complaining about like, hey, why are we doing this? Why am I helping you with this? And he's like, I keep feeding you, so you got to keep working for it. And that was kind of fun. So it's interesting to have Sorato have amnesia and then have to kind of be taught certain things. He knows certain things culturally, like he corrects Ayumu and saying, you should say thanks instead of, thank you or whatever, because we're friends and we're friendly, and therefore the social norms are different between us. So like on one hand you have that, where he has insights into culture, but then again, he's been watching a lot of TV and stuff, so that might help. Versus he needs to understand this whole tension between what you want to do and what you should do, and that's something I'd like to see come into conflict at some point during the show. That could be happening as soon as the next episode, or it could be happening a lot later on. But it's still a neat idea to explore, and definitely having Sorato have amnesia and have to grapple with that idea is, I think, good for young kids who are watching the show, because it helps them to conceptualize that idea for themselves, that they have things that they want to do and things that they should do, and know that there's a tension between those at times, and figure out how to navigate that, because that's what being an adult is about. And I think we should be raising adults, not raising children, to paraphrase somebody else. And that idea sits really well with me. So Anyway, I like what they're doing here. I complained kind of a lot about this with Rekiness, the little Rekiness avatar, Rekiness toy CGI thing. The fact that it acts like a dog is really irritating to me. I hate when they do that in media, and it seems to be a very popular thing to do, to just have things act like dogs, which in my opinion is no good. It belittles like everything. Basically, dogs developed in a very particular way to be the way they are, and just having everything act like a dog is silly and reductive, and it is lazy, and it stops you from developing your own unique culture and like a way for things to be. It's just the easy way is to make it make it act like a dog, and we don't have to think about it anymore. And that's not good. I don't like that. So anyway, overall, it was a good episode. What are your thoughts on it? What did you think of it? And what do you think about my commentary on it? Because I think I have excellent commentary on the episode personally, but I would love to hear your input on what you think of Omega so far, and what you think of this third episode of Ultraman Omega. Until next time, folks, this is MJ signing out. Magical bugs battle monsters in this exciting fantasy adventure. Gremlings prey upon children. Growbugs protect them. When a gremling finds a hidden growbug fort, the whole flock makes a surprise attack. How will the growbugs survive? Find out in Mockwing Mayhem. Learn more at growbugs.com, where you can find out more about our mailing list, receive behind-the-scenes information, and get all the latest news on the growbugs.